you're going to San Francisco.
I always wanted to be a police officer, but I did not see the future where I would eventually become chief of police. When the call came, I was very pleased because there were 7 people, I think, that Dianne Feinstein, who was then mayor, decided to interview. And I thought, well, she's either going to tell me that I made it or I didn't make it. But the fact that she called and wanted to see me was a pretty good sign that I might be lucky enough to be the next chief of police. I'm 53 years working with the Salvation Army now, and I'm just as enthusiastic today about what they do for the community as I was the day I first met Agnes Nightingale at the Hall of Justice in 1957. All of the police officers, including myself, would call her Florence Nightingale. She would yell out periodically, "Judge, this one here looks like this needs some clothing. I'll take this one. This one over here, I think, needs a little bit of medical attention. Somebody, I think this one over here has had a bad night, maybe too much alcohol." She called out of the crowd of that 75 to 100, maybe 30 people, and the judge gave her carte blanche. Yes, you go right ahead and take them. And I thought, well, what a great way to have people show support at the front line. She was a trailblazer. She was going against the grain sometimes and doing things that others didn't want to do. The Mother Teresa of her day. There is a real role model for me, and it never left my side to think, why can't I do a little to give something back too, like she's doing every day of her life? I was not thinking at all about being the mayor. It literally took them 3 months to convince me. I said, I don't think that there's a possibility of someone with my background becoming the mayor of San Francisco. And they said, well, we'll agree with you. You probably will not become the next mayor of San Francisco, but we like what you stand for. So I think I was as surprised as everyone else that we actually won. I felt very fortunate and privileged to have the opportunity to serve the citizens of San Francisco as mayor. San Francisco and the Salvation Army are really hand in glove working together here. If the Salvation Army were not in operation in San Francisco, there would be a huge void because the needs are everywhere. You just look around.
It's just a constant flow of ambulances and fire trucks.
And you know that the Salvation Army is going to be there the minute any kind of a 4-alarm fire, an explosion, an earthquake, they're on the scene and they don't ask for anything except who needs to be helped. The 1989 earthquake, I was chief of police at the time, and the Salvation Army was coming through with coffee and food and supplies and anything they needed. And I knew because of my personal experience that they would be the first on the scene, and sure enough they were. And they stayed right through till the end. I love to follow role models who really make a difference in a positive way. I study people, I study organizations, and when I like something, I really want to participate in it personally myself.
We are delivering meals this morning to seniors and shut-ins, to people who cannot otherwise make a meal for themselves or go out and have a meal. So this is a very special group of people.
The day of the turkey carving was actually fun. All of us would be there carving turkeys with other volunteers, many from police and fire services, emergency services, or others from the hotel council, or just great volunteers from around the city. There'd be maybe 300 of us there carving turkeys, putting them into packages, and others would have cars ready to deliver them all over the city wherever they were needed.
Out of the house or might not be able to make their own meal.
And you worked hard all day, but you had a great sense of satisfaction and a feeling of joy, really what it boils down to, because you knew you were doing something positive, something constructive, and something that was helpful to people who can't believe that you take the time out of your own busy lives to do something for them. Maybe it's the first time somebody's ever showed a little bit of sensitivity to them in maybe 20 or 15 years, and it helps to turn them around.
We don't go anywhere, we don't do nothing, we just sit and stare at each other in the TV.
It means more to have somebody come visit me.
I did it when I was I guess a police officer, a sergeant, a lieutenant, a captain, a commander, and as chief of police. And I usually did it right there in Union Square every year.
We all know the Salvation Army and the wonderful work that's been going on for, what, centuries? And we're making a difference here. And I don't know, it's kind of fun. People from other television stations, other radio stations, newspapers, politicians all come down here for one purpose, to fill this up.
Especially being able to help the Salvation Army. It's what I love to do. It's what KFRC as a station loves to do.
If you've ever gotten acquainted with the Salvation Army, you know they do so much for so many people in need, and they do it so unselfishly, and they've been at it an awfully long time, 120 years.
I also enjoyed it because many of the people who worked in the downtown area would see us there, and we became friends with a lot of them. And literally they felt, to the point that they were guilty, they couldn't walk past us without dropping something into the kettle. Even the mounted police officers on horseback would come by and, Sergeant Jordan or Lieutenant Jordan, we got to do our part too, and they'd hand me a $5 bill to put into the kitty for the Salvation Army. Made me feel good because it showed the officers were also showing a little bit of sensitivity for me too, and I liked that. Kroc Center was a tremendous addition to San Francisco. It has revitalized and changed the entire Tenderloin area. I've seen it both ways, and I can see what was there before, what's there now. It's a tremendous change for the good, and it reflects now in the Salvation Army in terms of where do they explore and go again. It's not the bricks and the mortar in that building. It's a beautiful structure done in the very highest, best architectural design possible, and it's providing all the functions you want. But it's what happens in the building that really makes that building stand out. It's the sense of community that they bring there. It's the feeling that you are not left out, you're part of the family. We're going to help you get to whatever you need, whether it's housing, whether it's recreation, whatever it might be. You are part of our family, and we're going to make sure that your needs are taken care of. Great addition to the Tenderloin, and a fabulous addition to the city of San Francisco. So here I am, 53 years later, still supporting the Salvation Army because that one lady who showed me that compassion, that sensitivity, and that caring, loving hand of support for people who really needed it at the right time in their lives. I call it magic. It really is. There's a chemistry there that you couldn't buy. They've always accomplished their purpose, and it's beautiful to see, and it's wonderful to be part of it.